Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE NXT TakeOver Toronto. And well, what can you say about this entire show? For one, it wasn't completely as predictable as most people would have thought. Two, unfortunately, I think there was a little bit of a downer in the terms of its attendance, based on the fact that certain matches, or a lot of a good chunk of the matches, were not particularly advertised all that well, particularly the fact that the Revival and DIY was only announced a couple days before, and also the aspect of how Asuka and Mickie James was built was pretty much through promos and everything in that sense. There was no actual interaction between the two of them until the actual night of the show. But that's just being said in the terms of the promotion of the show, itself. The show itself, I have yet to find a single NXT TakeOver show that has been disappointing. You can't really say this was their best showing, but there's never been a disappointing show so far. I mean, we'll just go off and start with the Bobby Roode-Ty Dillinger match. First of all, Bobby Roode coming out to a choir, and then, of course, the crowd also being a choir to go along with it, was just a great entrance and everything in that sense. And they were behind both guys in this match. The one thing that was fine for a little while, but we'll talk about a little bit more in the other upcoming days to come, the whole aspect during countouts during this match, like the crowd always doing 10 for every single one. I thought that was good during this match and everything in that sense. But they kept using it over and over and over and over and over again throughout the entire time. I'll talk about that one, not in this particular video, but a little bit later. But overall, great match between the two of them. Good storytelling from both sides. I thoroughly enjoyed the entire match. Great pop for the sharpshooter being used in the middle of the match. And of course, Bobby Roode goes over in this case as well. So, not the wrong choice by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, both of these guys put on a really good, entertaining match, kept the crowd into it the entire time. You could pretty much say that for pretty much most of the matches throughout the entire night, with the exception of this next one. Even though I thought the Authors of Pain and TM61 was a rather good match, crowd didn't seem to be into it all that much. I like the aspect of throughout the entire match, the Authors of Pain had to keep looking up at Paul Ellering because he was shouting instructions from the top inside of the shark cage and everything. I thought the match came off really good. Crowd didn't seem to be too much into it. I guess it was because they kind of felt like they knew where everything was going in the terms of Authors of Pain winning this match. But a couple really good spots in there to go along with it. The senton off of the beam support structure, I thought looked great. And just overall, the entire match I thought was a really good match. It was just one of those moments of, it felt like the crowd was out of this one a little bit. And you can't really say that for the other three matches of the night. But this one, that's where they felt like they were probably the most dead throughout the entire night. But overall, not a bad match. Good way of ending the Dusty Classic. Of course, Authors of Pain go over. And, oh yeah, the one other thing is like the one moment where after Ellering dropped the chain into the ring, one of the Authors of Pain had it wrapped around his fist, and he had let go of it like mid-punch, and the chain just goes flying into the crowd, like a little bit of a danger spot to go along with it. But like I said, overall, good match here. The Revival versus DIY, and well, what can you say about the storytelling in this match? It was really, really well done. The 2 out of 3 falls set up the aspect of DIY losing the first fall before having to take the next 2 falls. The double tap out to finish it off. The way the first fall ended, with it looked like Gargano was going to go for the slingshot spear, gets caught into the shatter machine. I thought came off well. The fact at the end of the match, both teams trying to steal each other's finishers to get the victory came off great. And like I said, the double tap out spot, the double tap out to get the victory, I thought was a good way of going, with DIY going over in this case. Makes you feel like that the Revival might get called up, but I'm not 100% certain on that yet. We'll see what they decide to go about that one here in the very near future. But it was good to see DIY go over in this case. They've been building this up, and this was just a phenomenal match. There's nothing bad to say about this match in any way, shape, or form. They did a good job. Great match and good storytelling to go along with everything too, which is one of those great things, and you see this a little bit more in Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe later in the night. Like, when they play the video packages, it's like these guys see the video packages before going out there, because stuff that you see inside there, they play a role in the match. You don't always see that inside of the main roster side, but at NXT it's like, oh, you see a little thing that they put inside the video package, and then it plays a role in the actual match itself, and it's really good to see things like that. Up next was Asuka and Mickie James. Really good match from these from both sides here. Great to see the reaction for Mickie James being a really big one. Good to see her back inside the ring, even if it is a one-off. And she put on a really, really good match with Asuka, making Asuka look look even more dominant than where she was at before. The spot outside where Mickie James took the German suplex outside the ring looked painful and sick, and it came off really good. And of course, Asuka going over again in this case. You didn't expect them to put Mickie James over. You were hoping for a really good match, which is what you saw here to go along with it, and it just came off really, really good, really good from all sides here. The aspect, you're wondering how they were going to try to make Asuka a heel, because it was a little bit hard to make her a heel just based off match and quality of match and everything like that. I think they did a really good job at the end here to potentially make Asuka a heel by the aspect of Mickie James putting out her hand to shake her hand at the end of the match, and Asuka just raising the belt and walking away was a really good way of going. Not to mention the match itself was very much mind games from both sides. Like, Mickie James wasn't in her TNA persona. She was pretty much in WWE persona, where she played a lot more mind games throughout the entire match, and it just came off really well. Enjoyed this match. I thought I thought this match was done really well. So, like I said, there was nothing really disappointing about this show in any way. And then you had Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Samoa Joe. And first of all, I know I'll talk a little bit more into it. This is where I wanted to put into an aspect of video package, stuff that happens in video package happens to play a role in the match itself. They showed the steel stair spot, the thing that potentially put Shinsuke Nakamura into the hospital, and then it played a role. Those steel steps played a role in the match itself, even into the ending of the match to go along with it. Both these guys played a really, really hard-hitting match. The interesting aspect behind this match is that Joe went over, becoming the first time somebody had held the NXT title twice, the main title twice. We've obviously had the Revival, we've held the tag team titles twice. But the match, the spots, the storytelling that they did in this match, just the hard-hitting side of everything, and also telling the story of how, like, Joe wanted to try to dominate the match, but Shinsuke, like, 40 mini turns, but also an aspect of the stuff that they had done beforehand played a role inside the match. Like, at the end, the low blow into the Uranagi into the steel steps, which led to the muscle buster finisher. Again, something they had done beforehand, playing a role in the match itself to help the story of the match. And it came off really well in the end. So, with that being said, like I said, there's nothing really wrong with this show. It was a really, really good show. If anything, it probably steals the weekend with everything, because there's nothing disappointing about this particular show. It's not their best NXT TakeOver, but again, I've yet to see an NXT TakeOver disappoint. The matches mean something. They have a story behind them. They play up to that story leading into the match, and then the match itself plays off of what they had been telling you beforehand to enhance the story of the match itself. So, again, really good weekend, really good NXT TakeOver in Toronto. I can't say anything bad about it. With that being said, that is my review for NXT TakeOver Toronto. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.